It's late 1922 in Egypt, in the Valley of the Kings, and a gentleman who's been searching for years discovers the unplundered tomb of a pharaoh. The name, Tutankhamun. And immediately the world goes crazy with anything Egyptian. Architecture, jewelry, furniture, clothing. Anything Egyptian is popular. So it's quite amazing that a gentleman who was raised Catholic by the name of Edward Arthur Wilson finds himself fevered, ill, and in a hotel in the south of France. When he gets up in the middle of the evening, he witnesses a Egyptian auric floating in the room, and which explodes and opens up so that he is in an Egyptian temple. And he's addressed as a pharaoh by an entity, one of 12 masters of the knowledge, seers of the light. And because it's the 12th brother that addresses him, he decides to take his name and becomes Brother 12. The message he receives is that there's an urgency and the knowledge.
In the near future, existing institutions will be destroyed, and practically all religious and philosophical teachings will be blotted out. Therefore, the masters, foreseeing these things which are soon to come on the earth, have prepared the present work. The message is everything. The personality of the messenger is nothing.
They tell Wilson to go to England and present a paper. So he writes the paper, has it published in England, and immediately it's a success. Followers flock around. He's invited to do oratories in halls, and the mystic community, the theologists, invite him in to tell him of what he has seen and to share the message. Right off the bat, there's celebrities that are interested in his message. And it's not long that he has amassed as many as 8,000 followers.
You must sell all and give through me to this holy cause. I have never been there, but I believe our chosen land is indeed a paradise. I have seen it in a vision, its huge trees of cedar, its blue waters and white sands. It has a strange name, Columbia, British Columbia.
Going to establish in a place that has a strange name, as he points it out on a map, as if he's never been. In fact, he has actually been to British Columbia. The message is to sell what you have and prepare for the future. And he manages to convince these people that that they should be the best of the best. They should not be materialistic. They should, in fact, sell everything they have and put it into his agrarian foundation to be used to purchase property and to support his group of followers, which he is going to establish in a far-off, unknown place called British Columbia. Now, he does in fact do that. He goes to Cedars by the Sea. He calls it Cedars by the Sea. It's known today as Cedar. It's just south of Nanaimo, beautiful property, and brings his followers there. He subsequently buys Decourcy Island group, which is within sight of the shore, and establishes a colony there. While he's in Cedars, he gets a letter from Mary Connell, an elderly woman, and she she's quite well to do, has never really had to work for her money, but she sent him a check for $2,500. Well, that's a fortune in 1923 now, 1924. And so it's an invite for him to come and see her in Toronto, and which he immediately decides to do. He travels south, he gets on the train, and he's heading across the streets from San Francisco. On the train, he meets a woman, and she's a married woman traveling alone, and he's stunned by her beauty, and he convinces her that his bride from back in Egyptian days, and that they should become lovers, and just to complete their destiny over time. And this woman believes him, and ends up getting into they get to travel across the states. In the course of time that it took, maybe 3 days, she is totally smitten with him, leaves her husband and family, waits in a hotel while Wilson goes up to Toronto to meet with Mary Connolly. They have a beautiful meeting, and he leaves with her as a follower and a check for $23,500. Now, that is a substantial sum in the mid-20s. So he goes back, he purchases more property, and basically starts amassing an amount of money. Now he has the Aguarian Foundation now, and many high-ranking Americans and celebrities are on the board of the Aguarian Foundation, and the money continues to pour in. Now he has the money converted into $20 US gold pieces, some small currency Canadian funds, but mostly in $20 US gold pieces. Now he has one of his followers actually build him 40 plus boxes to contain these quart jars of gold coins. And what he does is he puts them in these sealing jars or canning jars. With Brother 12's increasing paranoia, he demanded his women followers go around the Decourcy Island group from rifle pit to rifle pit. He was worried that the government, local as well as provincial, may actually invade his island, and so he was going to protect his group, but probably more likely he was going to protect his gold from confiscation. And then pours paraffin wax in them so they won't rattle. So now he's got 40 plus boxes of gold, and he's brought back this woman, and he lives on the colony with them, with her and his followers, and they're not really pleased that he has found these earthly delights, no matter how good a spin he puts on it. So unfortunately for his girlfriend as well as the followers, one of the other followers comes up. He's actually a poultry king in the United States. He hands over $90,000, which is immediately converted into gold. And Wilson takes his gold and his mistress, who refers to herself as Madame Z. She's a kind of a wicked dominatrix, and she has a tendency to whip the other followers. And he tells them to listen to this dominatrix called Madame Z, because what comes out of her mouth are his words, and she is speaking for him. And this does not go over well, and eventually they take what they want, because while they're in court, Madame Z, the girlfriend's out of the picture now. So it's Madame Z and Brother 12 decide that they are going to destroy everything on the island, and they fall trees over the buildings that they've built, and he blows up a couple of his yachts. One he keeps, and they load all the gold onto it, and he heads up to Prince Rupert and then across Canada really never to be seen by his followers again. The court sides with the followers and give them the only assets they have, which is the properties. And as late as 1943, it's listed that there are 3 elderly women living on one of the old town sites, or follower sites, and as old women, estranged from their families. Now, it's surprising that with the name change of Madam Z and Brother 12, they find themselves in England for a short time, and then over to Switzerland, where again this illness that Brother 12 suffers from has come up, and he is supposedly succumbs to a heart attack in Switzerland, and the death certificate is signed by none other than one of his followers that had actually visited him, a doctor, and had visited him at Cedars by the Sea. So many believe that his death was convenient and not truthful, because it's not much longer after that that someone witnesses a gentleman of his description on a boat in San Francisco Harbor. It's an amazing story. I've really skipped over a lot of the details, and some of it's online, several good books written about Brother 12, but from his earliest beginnings to his departure is only the matter of about 3 years. So he really does accomplish a lot. I mean, he had influence felt that he could actually influence the U.S. election, and went down to the United States and actually backed a Southern senator for his bid for the presidency, who was the head of the Ku Klux Klan in that area. So it's an interesting story, a very powerful individual. Oddly enough, even when things started going bad with Brother 12 back in his colony, the followers felt that while he was entranced and communicating with his entity, Egyptian entity, he may have been taken over by a bad spirit. And so they gave him a lot of leeway at first. Even though things were very bad, they still were believing in his message. And that's what's so interesting and so powerful about Brother 12. I encourage you to look into it more and see some of the details of what this man, his message, what he accomplished, and his ultimate downfall. Thanks again for letting me indulge my history passion with you, and I look forward to sharing some more history with you in the future.
I have never been there, but I believe our chosen land is indeed a paradise. I have seen it in a vision. Its huge trees of cedar, its blue waters and white sand,